My dad's old school and he's hard. My dad's mindset is, if you're not dead, you was okay. That's my dad's mindset, because that's what his dad taught him, and that's how he was brought up. So he taught me that.
The body snatcher, Dillian Whyte, one of the most brutal boxers today, a man that doesn't mess around and fights the toughest fights, a man known for beating Anthony Joshua in the amateurs. In this boxing documentary, we will be looking at Whyte's life before boxing, the struggles he had to go through, the biggest fights, and how Whyte is held back and why this is.
Next, no one else apart from me, I wanted to go, oh, I ain't signing that. And then he also said to me, private message, oh, I'm gonna make you wait 2 years. I'm like, why? You getting paid career high money.
Wow, the text do that?
Yeah, I can show you the text.
Wow.
Even though he is one of the biggest fighters today, for whatever reason, we see Whyte held back and denied chances to get the belt and become champ like the greats. We also see other so-called great fighters denied him a chance to fight for the belt. Starting from the very beginning, Whyte was born in Jamaica on the 11th of April 1988 in Port Antonio, Portland. His life in Jamaica was not an easy one. Whyte's mother left him at the age of 2 so that she could travel to the UK and make a living. Because of this, Whyte didn't see his mother for 11 years and bounced from one family to another. This was Whyte's life for his early years. From birth, Whyte had to fight to survive and didn't have many people to depend on. He also claims that he barely had any schooling in Jamaica. Whyte had a tough dad whose attitude,
If you're not dead, you was okay.
at age 12, Whyte moved from Jamaica to UK and lived in Brixton. Even though he moved countries and was now with his mother, it still wasn't easy for Whyte, as in England he fell into the wrong crowd. In the streets he got into many fights and was on the road to being dead in the streets. Whyte admitted that he got into fights a lot, and as a result of this, he was stabbed and shot twice. He managed to stitch himself up and even pulled one of the bullets out himself with pliers and drowned the wound with alcohol, hiding this from his mother. But all this toughened him up for the world of boxing and become a fighting man, making his life harder. He was a dad at the age of 13 and had 2 jobs trying to support himself. One day his friends saw that Whyte kept getting into fights. He took Whyte to the gym where he started to kickbox. It was at this time that he figured out that while training he had no time for fighting in the streets. With this he slowly left the street life behind. Whyte trained as a kickboxer and even became BIKMA Super Heavyweight British Championship title and one-time European K1 champion. He was also ranked #1 in kickboxing for 5 years, only losing to Chris Knowles. While training kickboxing, he got sent to a boxing gym to learn how to use his hands more. This is where it would change for Whyte. At age 20, his boxing trainer tried to set up a fight for him, but couldn't find anyone to fight, until he heard about an up-and-coming fighter, but his trainer didn't want Whyte to fight him, because he had 4 fights before Whyte and knocked them all out. This fighter was Anthony Joshua. Within the fight, Whyte knocked AJ down, winning on decision. This one moment would be a moment that Whyte would be remembered for years to come, but that wouldn't be the only time they met in the ring. The fight was considered a risk, but Whyte claimed, "Sometimes you've just got to take opportunities when they come." Whyte turned pro in 2011 and got managed by Frank Maloney. Decided to manage Whyte after seeing him spar with David Haye and former UFC lightweight champion Quinton Jackson. Dillian Whyte hadn't made it. He was now a pro boxer. He went on a winning spree.
To me, I think Whyte is like an old school sort of boxer. Takes on anyone that wants to fight. If anyone wants to fight him, he's willing to give them a fight, and he doesn't mess around. He's not saying to people, "Oh, I want to fight Wilder," and then when the opportunity comes, he's not taking it. He takes all the opportunities he can, and he's a no bullshit sort of boxer.
I think Dillian Whyte's alright as a person. He seems a genuine sort of bloke.
I think he's got a little bit of an arrogance about him, but to a certain degree I feel like he deserves to have that. I mean, like, I don't think I've ever seen a better fight than with AJ than what Whyte gave him. Even when Ruiz beat him, I still think Whyte gave him the better fight of the two. Yeah, I just feel like, like I say, he's very arrogant and very cocky, but sometimes has it in the ring to be like that, but not always.
Whyte's last fight in 2012 was against Sander Bilal, which took place at Blue Water on the undercard of James DeGale. Whyte won his fight, however the win was stripped. This is because Whyte had tested positive for MHA. Before the fight, Whyte had felt drained and was constantly getting tired until he got offered Jacked 3D, which was a substance that most can get over the counter at gyms. Within this substance is MHA, which is banned chemical. The UK had suspended Whyte for 2 years. The NADB found that Whyte failed to seek information about the pre-workout that he was taking, and because of this he got a 2-year ban. That could not be reversed. Whyte stated that he did not knowingly take the substance, but the 2-year ban could not be avoided, stating that Whyte should have done more research on what he was taking. In 2014, Whyte was cleared of all charges of the ban and won the second round per TKO. In 2015, the rematch between Whyte and Anthony Joshua took place at the O2. This was for the British title. This was the toughest fight for both Whyte and AJ. AJ got his composure and knocked out Whyte in the 7th round. This was Whyte's first loss, losing to one of the biggest boxers of today. At the time, the loss to AJ must have hurt. That had looked like the end of his career. However, Whyte has since said that this was the best thing to happen, and after the fight, he trained harder and came back stronger. This made Whyte more hungry for success.
Never give up. Whatever happens, never give up. You know, I used to have fights when I was young. I used to lose. I used to go home and tell my dad. He used to give me a couple of slaps and say, go and fight again.
I think as a boxer, Whyte he's pretty diverse. He can box when he needs to. He can make it a street fight and just make it a dirty fight where he just smothers the opponents. He can also outclass them if he needs to. He can go all 12 rounds. You know, he's a well-versed boxer.
I think as a boxer, he likes to go the distance, which is good, really. He likes to hang it out, doesn't he? He doesn't like to get you stuck straight in there, if you know what I mean. He'd rather go 7, 8 rounds than he would 1 and 2 rounds, wouldn't he?
Again, I feel like there are times when he shows that he could be a world-class boxer, and at times it's sort of like, why did you even bother getting in the ring with this guy? So it all depends on. It's weird because he put in a huge performance against people like AJ, but then struggles against lesser fighters. So it's kind of like it's a bit of a up and down sequence. So yeah, he's overall I'd give him about 6 out of 10.
Whyte then faced the White's Rhino, Dave Allen. Whyte said that within the fight he had to test his shoulder. This was because Whyte had shoulder injury before this fight with Allen. Whyte also stated that punching Allen's head was like punching bricks, as he wouldn't go down. After the fight, both of them became friends, with Whyte liking Allen. This must have been surprising for the fans, because at the end of the fight, Allen went to embrace and touch gloves with Whyte, but was ignored. But then Whyte won the fight by decision. After facing Allen, Whyte had to fight with someone that he had been feuding with over Twitter, Derek Dalboy Chisora. This happened on the undercard of AJ versus Eric Molina. The build up to this fight was like nothing ever seen before. On their first face to face on the gloves of rock, Chisora got angry, throwing a glass of water over Whyte.
I'll put it on you, boss. I'll put it on you, boss. Easy. I'll put it on you. Easy. Well, easy.
However, the last press conference, Chisora once again getting annoyed, threw the table at Whyte, which missed him.
Yeah, because you have to understand, if a man threatens your life, yeah, he's not only just threatening your life, he's threatening your kids and everybody around you, because with this day and age, people just like roll up to your car or roll up to your house, you know.
Are you mad?
Things go off.
He threatened my life.
I sat down like, hold on.
He threatened my
He said
life?
it again, and he said it again.
What if I go with my kid to Disneyland and he comes to the car? Are you mad? He goes, no. Eddie, you think it is funny? You are laughing at this? He said, you are crazy. He goes, Eddie got scared. Eddie was like, what is that? Listen.
Because of this action, the BBB claimed that the British title will not be up for claim, but the WBC title is still for claim. Within the fight, both fighters showed a lot of heart. Whyte was rocked in round 8, 10 and 12, but still won by decision. This fight went down as one of the best fights of the year. Whyte went on another winning spree, but then WBC ordered Whyte versus Ortiz to find out who would face Wilder for the championship. Whyte was hurt over this feeling. He was already in line to face Wilder. Brazil was made the mandatory for Wilder. Whyte claimed that him and Whyte should fight instead to see who would get the chance.
Throw with him and Wilder hit Brazil so hard, they are feeling it in Brazil.
I do believe Whyte has earned his place up there in boxing with AJ, Wilder, Fury. As one of the best boxers, he's proven himself time and time again. He's taken hard fight after hard fight that he didn't have to take, but he's done it to advance his career. The only loss he's had is to AJ, which isn't a bad loss by any means. So I do think he is up there with one of the best heavyweights.
Yeah, I do. I think he's, he's alright.
I think he did from his name in the amateurs. I mean, beating AJ in the amateurs makes him sound like something very special, but realistically, no, because he hasn't done it in the professionals. I mean, yes, he gave AJ a fight. That's about it. He hasn't really proved himself anywhere else.
At the time, the IBF also ordered Whyte to face Pulev, with Pulev getting the bigger percent on the money. However, June 7th, it was announced that Whyte wouldn't fight either of these, but instead fighting Park, who had just come off a loss to AJ, taking place on July 28th. fight itself was celebrated for the matchup. In the fight, Whyte started off boxing but turned it into a street fight Parker couldn't adapt to. However, Parker won the championship rounds, but unable to finish the job. Parker also hit the canvas in round 2 because of the clash of heads. Parker dropped Whyte in the 12th round, but the decision fell to Whyte, with some fans claiming that Parker had won the fight. At the end of the fight, Whyte wanted one more fight, and then he wanted AJ.
I would like to see AJ and Whyte have a rematch, just because I think they've both come so far and they've both changed within boxing, so I think it would be a good fight for them, and it'd be a hard fight for both of them as well, so I think it'd be a really enjoyable fight for the fans, so yeah, I think they should have a fight.
No, I don't think they should go to a third fight.
No?
No, I think that should be 2 fights and the most. So if one wins on points, then that should be it. They shouldn't, do you know what I mean? So you've got two fights. If one wins one and one wins the other one, but one wins the other one by more points, that should majority. So he's won over that. You know what I mean?
If Whyte can pull that kind of performance out again, then yeah, why not? Because it showed AJ struggled, but then again, AJ's a better fighter now. So yeah, it'd be interesting.
After the fight, Eddie Hearn offered a rematch with Chisora. However, Whyte did not want this fight. Hearn then stated he would offer Wilder around $6 million to fight Whyte in Brooklyn.
Where you at, Wilder? Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! I'm ready! Let's get it, Deontay! Let's go!
However, Parker's team wasn't done, as Duco Events applied for the decision to go under investigation, stating the headbutt affected the decision and Parker's performance. If the scorecard had not taken into account the headbutt, Parker was performing well and the outcome should have been a draw. However, this went nowhere and Whyte moved on. Whyte at this time was having a war of words to Ortiz, both calling each other out, with Ortiz saying that he would come to the UK and fight on December 22nd. Once hearing this, Chisora came out to say that no one wants that fight and Whyte should fight him as he is the money man.
How'd you beat this man?
Oh, it's like this, man. Have you ever taken those pills, the laxative pills? You know, the ones you take, you pop, and you wait for 20 minutes, you go to the toilet, and they go through you? I'm gonna go through this man.
It's a bit of a weird analogy.
Everybody knew exactly what I was talking about.
This worked and Chisora got the fight. This time, Chisora would team up with David Haye, acting as his manager. Within the fight, Whyte and Chisora once again put on a showstopper. With Whyte winning once again in the 11th round for a knockout. Within the fight, Chisora got 2 warnings from the referee, 1 for a low blow and 2 for an elbow to the head. After the fight, Adrian then got in the ring, stating that Whyte was a potential next opponent, however, stating that Wilder was still a goal. Hearing this, Whyte left the ring, stating, "Don't waste my time, I've got my own career."
Dylan, let's forget about what happened in the past in that fight. British level, we're both at world level now, and we can see what we're about. Do you know what I mean? Forget all that he said, she said. Good fight back then, now we have to see where we're at right now. But first of all, we know how the list goes, number 1, number 2, and if they're not available, let's see if we can get on. And if anyone deserves a wide title shot, I think it's Dylan.
I'm not sitting around waiting for you. We need to know what we're doing. I got my own career. I'm not waiting for you to chase Adam, man. Even with fighting, we're not fighting, bro.
I know where you're coming from, but as I said, if there's anyone who deserves a shot, if it ain't them, it's you.
I work my way up, bro. Let's go.
So if it wasn't Deontay Wilder, let me ask you a question. If it wasn't Deontay Wilder, it's a fan-friendly sport. Would they be interested in Dillian Whyte?
So if Dillian Whyte fight gets made, I don't want to hear any boos and it's not the fight we want to see. Do you know where I'm coming from? Deontay Wilder's a target, but if it's not him, it's Dillian Whyte.
For me, I do think Whyte should have a shot at one of the belts. I think the best bet right now is for him to go for a belt AJ has, because it just seems like that's more of an opportunity and more likely to happen than it is if Wilder. Wilder always says he wants these hard fights and it just doesn't seem like he's taking them. So I think the best bet is for him to go with AJ. Also, we've seen proof from Whyte that Wilder has said like he's going to freeze him out for 2 years and that. So
yeah, I do. I think he's a class fighter, one of the top fighters. So yeah, I think he should get his chance.
No, not at the minute. I think he needs to. I feel like he could have one further down the line, but I think he needs to prove himself a little bit more. I mean, yes, obviously he beat the likes of Chisora and Parker, but then that's not really pushing himself to the top level, because AJ's going to look and be like, well, I embarrassed Parker, and Chisora again just isn't in that category. So I don't think beating either of those kind of guys is going to make AJ or Fury turn around and go, hang on a minute, I need to have a go at this guy.
Negotiations for the rematch started. However, Whyte had suspicions that AJ didn't want the fight and he would go to America to fight Big Baby Miller.
I think what's that means, he's going to end up going to America and fighting Miller, which I said the whole time. It's an easier fight for him. You know, he beats Miller. Miller is cheaper. Miller's got no real profile. And listen, I'm way more dangerous for him than what Miller is. Miller is just...
Whyte also stated the contract was unfair to him, not paying him enough money for the fight, stating he knows his worth. Whyte also said that if Whyte won the fight in the rematch, AJ would still be treated as the champ instead of becoming the challenger. Whyte was correct. AJ went to America to face Miller on the 1st of June. This would later be changed for AJ to fight Andy Ruiz. While at this time, Whyte had no opponent but was still training with no one to face for the time. The WBC then ordered Whyte to face Brazil, determining the mandatory for Wilder's championship. However, this would never happen, as Brazil then got his chance to face Wilder on May 18th, with Wilder winning within the first round for KO. At this time, Whyte had got an opponent with Oscar Rivers. The WBC then ordered Whyte to face Tyson Fury after Rivers. While this would be one of the biggest British fights, the question must be asked, who else does Whyte have to face before the WBC gives him his shot? Even Whyte himself has came out calling the organisation a joke. With Whyte fighting tough fight after tough fight, the question must be asked, how much more does he have to do, and why does it feel like he has been held back?
He's been royally stitched up. If you want to go back through history here, and I'm talking about go back way into the 50s. You have to go back to about the 50s, the late 50s, the early 60s, to find guys that were overlooked for as long as Dillian. Sonny Liston was ignored for 3 years, nearly 4 years. Not because, see, Dillian's not being ignored because people are frightened of him. Dillian's being ignored because the people know he can beat them.
I think if given the opportunity, Whyte would beat Wilder. I know Wilder has that knockout power where he's just got to land it, and Whyte is very easy to get hit on. You see him take blows of hits multiple times, but I think Whyte would make it more of a fight than a boxing match, and rough him up, do what he did to Parker, take him to the ropes, and land a lot of shots, which I haven't seen many people do that to Wilder, so I don't know how he would react to it.
I think he'll struggle to beat Wilder, because Wilder seems a bit not composed. You know what I mean? He seems to be all over the place. So I think anyone will struggle with Wilder. What do you think?
No, not at the minute, because I feel like Wilder's just got too much power for most people. But at the same time, obviously I know Fury kind of stood up to that, literally. But yeah, I don't think there are many people that can do that. I think Fury was one of the very, very few that would get back up from a Wilder hit, and I think the only way you beat Wilder is to outbox him, but yeah, there's not many that's going to do that either with his power.
A couple of reasons why Whyte might be held back is because of his attitude. He's not a golden clean spoken boxer that AJ can be, making for an unsafe role model for the boxing fans. Another theory on why Whyte is held back is because of a loss to AJ. This is because within the boxing world, there's 5 companies that organise boxing, each one having their own weight classes and each class having their own belts. This means that the boxing fans no longer care about all the belts, because it seems that every boxer has a belt. This means more fans are focusing on the undefeated streak. The disaster is that the American boxing scene is dead, with not many boxers winning gold at the Olympics or even many American champs coming through. Because of this, most think that the WBC wouldn't allow the fight because they feel Wilder will lose to keep the belt in America. So at the time, 4 of the 5 heavyweight belts were held by an English champ, AJ. These are all just theories. The build-up for the Whyte fight had big names booked, such as Derek Chisora, Dave Allen, David Price, while on the site the WBC had stated that the winner will become the mandatory Deontay Wilder. On the night of this amazing boxing event, Chisora won within 2 rounds. Price won in the 10th round against Dave Allen. Then it was the main event, Whyte versus Rivers. Rivers kept the pressure on Whyte, marching forward and landing some big blows, while Whyte was controlling the fight with jab and combos in close.
He deserves. He's a nice guy and he's doing very, very well. He's a dangerous guy. He's fighting. All he's got to do is be smart, use his jab.
In the 9th round, the close fight got even closer as Rivers landed nasty uppercut and Whyte went crashing down from canvas. He quickly got back up and fought on until the final bell. Whyte had won against a hard fighter in a hard fight and was now mandatory for the WBC Championship and faced Deontay Wilder.
I do think Whyte is held back. I don't know exactly why. It might be the reason that he's got a loss on his record, and because there's so many belts in boxing, not many fans give a shit about the belts anymore. It's more about the undefeated streak. It's more about having the unbeatable person. So I think that might be one reason, that because Whyte has got a loss on his record, it might be.
I think the people that do control the belts don't want him to fight, because I think they'll be. I think he is quite compatible with AJ sort of fight, so he could end up having all 4, if you know what I mean. So yeah, they probably don't want him to, because I reckon he probably could beat Wilder, so which would give him the 5th belt, wouldn't it? I don't think they want him all over here.
No, I don't think he's held back. I just don't think he's at that level yet. I think there's a point where you need to, I don't know, not necessarily up your game, but prove yourself. Just that's the thing about boxing. You have to prove yourself over and over in order to get that chance. And I just feel like Whyte's not really doing that yet, because, like I say, the biggest thing that he's done is beat Chisora, which is good. And don't get me wrong, because Chisora's a good fighter, but not good enough for that kind of standard and to get himself up there yet. No.
Man didn't know about a rock and roll show. No,
However, within the week, it came out that Whyte had failed a drugs test by UCAD for a small amount in his system. What was being said was that it was a small drug, such as painkillers. However, the WBC wasted no time in stripping Whyte from the mandatory position, even though Whyte passed VADA, which is all the WBC requires their fighters to pass. Even though, once again, held back, the British public seemed to stick with him through it all. It might be his never quit attitude, his no-nonsense talk, or his heart that he shows in every fight. Either way, Whyte is a character that is strong and will never back down, even when denied repeatedly.
For me, I think Whyte will get a shot with AJ and his belts before he gets one with Wilder. Wilder just doesn't seem like he wants that fight. Whether he just doesn't respect Whyte and giving it to him, or because he's scared and thinks he might lose the fight, so he's not going to give him the shot.
I'd like to see him get a chance, but I don't think he will, because he's quite a popular fighter, isn't he? And I don't think he will. I think he'll probably struggle to get a chance at it. It'd be nice to see him get a chance. Yeah. No, I don't think he'll get a good chance.
Like I said, I think he could. He needs to prove himself a bit more, because yes, he wins fights and no one can deny that, but he's beating people that the likes of AJ and Wilder aren't going to care about. Like, he's not going to care who he's beating until he gets a shot at the big boys. So I guess he needs to do something big in order for one of them to turn around and go, oh, hang on a minute, this guy, I need him.